It was a Tuesday afternoon when I pulled into my driveway, the kind of day where the sun hangs low and everything feels just a little too quiet. But as I cut the engine, a sound hit me like a slap drawer slamming, boxes thudding, coming from the second floor of my house. My stomach twisted. I fumbled with my keys, heart pounding, trying to make sense of it. My 8-year-old daughter, Lily, was at her grandma's for the week, and I'd locked every door tight before Leah VYing for work that morning. Someone was in my house. I bolted up the stairs, 2 at a time, following the noise to Lily's bedroom. The door was wide open, and there, standing in the middle of her room, was Susan Carver, the head of our neighborhood's homeowners association. She was folding Lily's clothes, her tiny sweaters, her favorite unicorn t-shirt, stuffing them in a cardboard boxes labeled storage in her perfect, looping handwriting. She didn't even flinch when she heard me. Instead, she turned, her face calm, almost smug, and said, "Oh, Mark, you're not supposed to be home yet." Like she had every right to be there, rearranging my daughter's life. I froze, my mind racing. 6 months ago, my world shattered when my wife, Emily, died in a car crash on her way home from work. Since then, I've been holding it together for Lily, trying to keep our lives steady while we grieved. We'd moved to this suburban neighborhood, Pinecrest Meadows, 2 years back, chasing good schools and a safe place for Lily to grow up. But Susan? She'd been a thorn in my side from day one, nitpicking the height of my grass, the shade of my mailbox, Leah VYing her passive-aggressive notes. This, thought was something else. This was my daughter's sanctuary, and she was tearing it apart. Susan kept folding, picking up a pink sweater Emily had bought Lily just before the accident. "What are you doing?" I managed, my voice shaking. She smiled, that condescending smile she wore like a badge. "This room's been empty for days, Mark. I figured it'd be perfect for storing some of Ethan's sports gear." Ethan, her entitled 15-year-old son, who'd inherited every ounce of her arrogance. The idea that Lily's room was empty because she was VY citing her grandma for a week was so absurd, I almost laughed. Instead, I felt my fist clench. "This is my daughter's room," I said, stepping closer. "You have no right to be here. Put everything back and get out. Now." Her smile didn't budge. "Mark, you're overreacting. The HOA has rules about unused spaces, moisture, air circulation, property values. You know how it is." I stared, dumbfounded. "This is my house. My daughter lives here. You're trespassing." She crossed her arms, unfazed. "Actually, Section 12 of the HOA covenant gives us rights to maintain community standards. When rooms go unused, we step in." It was nonsense, and I knew it. I'd read every word of that covenant when we bought the house. Nothing gave her the right to break in and steal Lily's things. "You're lying," I snapped, pulling out my phone. "Get out, or I'm calling the cops." But Susan didn't blink. She grabbed her own phone, holding it like a weapon. "Actually, Mark, I'll call 911. This house has been abandoned for days, and now you're here, claiming ownership. For all I know, you're a squatter." I couldn't believe it. She was in my home, packing my daughter's belongings, and now she was accusing me? Before I could respond, she dialed, her voice dripping with fake urgency. "Yes, I'm at 127 Oak Lane, Pinecrest Meadows. I'm here on HOA business and found a possible squatter." I didn't hesitate. I dialed 911 too. "I'm at 127 Oak Lane. A woman's broken into my home and is stealing my daughter's things. She's still here." The next few minutes were a blur, both of us standing in Lily's room, phones to our ears, the air thick with tension. Susan kept talking, spinning her story about abandoned property and her authority. I could barely look at her, surrounded by Lily's toys, her drawings pinned to the wall, every item a piece of the life we were rebuilding. When the police sirens wailed closer, I felt a mix of relief and dread. 2 officers, Bennett and Carter, stepped into the room, their faces neutral but sharp. Susan launched into her spiel, while VYing a folder of photos she'd taken of my house proof, she claimed, of abandonment. "No lights at night, no cars, mail piling up. The HOA has a duty to protect property values," she said, spreading her photos across Lily's desk like EVY Denke in a courtroom. I handed the officers my driver's license and property deed. This is my home. My daughter's at her grandma's for the week. This woman used an HOA emergency key to break in. Then it hit mirror security cameras. Emily and I had installed them when we moved in, hidden but covering every entrance. I pulled up the app on my phone, my hands shaking, and there was crystal clear footage of Susan sneaking to my front door, grabbing a key from the HOA lockbox, and letting herself in. No emergency, no justification, just her, looking around like a thief. Officer Bennett watched the video twice, his face hardening. "Ma'am, this shows you entering a private residence without permission. Explain why you thought this was okay." Susan's confidence cracked, just for a second. "The property seemed abandoned," she stammered. "The HOA has obligations." Carter cut her off. "Did you contact Mr. Thompson or any authorities before entering?" She hesitated. "No, but the covenant, HOA rules don't cover breaking into homes," Bennett said flatly. Then Carter pulled me aside, his voice low. "Mr. Thompson, this isn't the first time we've heard about Mrs. Carver. Neighbors have been calling for months unauthorized landscaping, trespassing, overstepping her role. They've been documenting her, waiting for something like this." I was stunned. Other families had dealt with her. Most incidents were outside, so the law was murky, he said. "But this is clear-cut. Your footage is exactly what we need." They turned to Susan. "Mrs. Carver, you're under arrest for trespassing and theft." Her face went white, her voice rising. "This is outrageous. I'm the HOA president. I'm protecting the community." But Bennett was already cuffing her, reading her rights as she sputtered. As they let her out, she kept shouting about her authority, but it was hollow, desperate. After she was gone, I gave the officers a full statement, replaying the footage, still reeling. They gave me names of neighbors who'd filed complaints, suggesting we team up. I felt OLAT, but also validated someone was finally listening. Over the next few days, the neighborhood buzzed. Mrs. Larson called about Susan ripping out her garden, claiming it broke HOA rules. The Petersons said she'd painted their mailbox without permission. Every story was the same. Susan deciding she could control people's lives, justifying it with her title. The HOA meeting the following Thursday was packed, the room crackling with anger. Vice President Tom Way called it to order, noting Susan's legal issues. Neighbor after neighbor stood up, spilling stories of her tyranny. Mrs. Ellis, a widow, cried describing Susan tearing out rose bushes her late husband planted. The Lopez family said Susan redid their yard while they were on vacation, then billed them. The worst was the Harris family, who said Susan targeted their kids, calling their toys and chalk drawings violations, until the kids were scared to play outside. When I spoke, I told them about finding Susan in Lily's room, her casual disrespect, her attempt to flip the script with the police. "This wasn't about rules," I said. "It was about one person thinking she could take what's ours because she wanted it." The room erupted in agreement. The board voted to oust Susan, change all HOA locks, and back a restraining order. They formed a committee to re-VYEW her actions and rewrite the rules to stop this from happening again. But the real gut punch came 3 days later while I was putting Lily's room back together. At the bottom of one of Susan's boxes, I found a note in her cursive, addressed to Ethan. "I know you've been frustrated about space for your sports gear," it read. "I found a perfect place. The family on Oak Lane's been neglecting their property, and I'm fixing it so we can use that space. Don't worry, Mommy's handling it." A second paragraph was worse. "I've watched their house for weeks. The little girl's room is full of dusty toys she doesn't use. The father's too overwhelmed to manage. By the time you read this, it'll be organized my way." My blood ran cold. Susan hadn't just acted on impulse, been stalking us, watching our home, judging our grief. She'd planned this, waiting for Lily's trip to strike. The thought of her peering through our windows, cataloging our lives, made me sick. I saved the note for the police, but kept a copy as a reminder of how close we'd come to losing more than just Lily's things. The legal battle was grueling but cathartic. Susan's lawyer claimed she'd acted in good faith, misunderstanding her authority. But the EVY Densemy footage, The note, neighbor testimonies painted a clear picture of premeditated theft. The judge found her guilty of trespassing and theft, sentencing her to 6 months of community service, a hefty fine, and 2 years probation. He also issued a permanent restraining order. Neighbors filed a civil suit, seeking damages and an admission of wrongdoing. Susan, true to form, insisted she was the victim, writing to the local paper about a conspiracy against her. The new HOA, led by Tom, moved fast to fix things. They set clear rules, apologized to affected families, and helped restore Lily's room. The neighborhood came alive, block parties, kids playing, a real community forming. When Lily came home, I told her the truth, gently, focusing on how our neighbors rallied for us. She wasn't scared, she was proud. "Daddy," she said that night, tucked in her bed, "I'm glad Mommy taught you to be brave before she went to heaven." That moment, and the bonds we built with neighbors like Mrs. Larson and the Harises, showed me we weren't alone. Our home was ours again, and we'd fought for it together. But I'll never forget how one woman's delusion nearly tore it apart, or how close we came to losing everything if I hadn't come home early that day. What do you think? Was Susan just a misguided HOA president? Or was she a calculating predator hiding behind her title? Should I have pressed harder for jail time? Or was probation enough? And what would you have done if you found someone in your kid's room, claiming it was theirs to take? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if this story got your blood boiling. And subscribe for more real-life dramas that'll keep you on edge.